This is Pangaea as described by modern science and geology. All the heavy land masses are on one side of the Earth, positioned exactly as proposed by accepted theory. The granitic rock and basalts that make up the massive island weigh nearly 3 times as much as the ocean water on the opposite side of the Earth. The ocean is an average of 2.5 miles deep, or just about 4 kilometers deep. 4 kilometers of water against 4 kilometers of granites and basalt. We add to the Pangaea side an average half mile above sea level of the continent. The Pangaea side is heavily weighted, more than 4 to 1 as a result. This means that the center of gravity of the Earth had to be shifted toward the Pangaea side by 4 or 5 kilometers. Water, being opportunistic, will shift with the center of gravity. And this is what would have happened according to the simple, basic physics. As you can see, the middle of Pangaea is sinking beneath the waves. The middle of the gigantic Pacific Ocean's oceanic plate seems to be raising above the ocean's waves as the ocean deserts it. Let's turn the two sides to us. The statements made here are straightforward and factual. Anyone can do the math. Nothing is hidden, nothing misstated. This is not the picture that current geology presents to us. If Pangaea ever existed, this is what the Earth had to look like. Life would have developed separately and differently in mid-Pacific than on the ring island of Pangaea, and evidence of such an island would be in existence, and it's not. We come to the Earth, which, well, grew to get here, the way it is now. Here is our world, our planet Earth, floating in space. We will be going backward in time, imperfectly, but done in a very disciplined manner. Please notice there is no subduction, no rotation of tectonic plates, no twisting, no form-fitting, no altering shapes or sizes. It would be impossible for these continental plates to fit together perfectly without this being true, and yet the upper tectonic plates fit together perfectly on a much smaller planet. Yes, there's been some erosion, landslides, blah, blah, but overall this activity is insignificant. There is a kind of conspiracy of silence among certain scientists. They know, but are not telling you, that the upper tectonic plates of Earth also join in the Pacific. Not partially. They join totally. You are asked to believe that the continents swim or drift about willy-nilly, bumping and crashing as if they were on a greased skillet. This is not true. The simple truth is apparently too upsetting to too many apple carts. We're now going forward in time to show how the actual growth of the Earth took place. Imperfect as to details, but the overall is nailed. Antarctica, as you see, has become subtropical. Africa, on a smaller globe, moved way downward under the globe. In fact, for hundreds of millions of years, the bottom of Africa was the South Pole. South America's tail goes under and wraps around the bottom of Africa. Then incredibly it joins coast with Antarctica. 65 million years ago and more, these continents were joined, and marsupials like the duck-billed platypus roamed from Australia, Antarctica, and across southern South America and up into Africa. The platypus. Dinosaurs roamed all over this world on the upper tectonic plate because there were no oceans, just shallow seas. Here today, Antarctica is frozen over, and Australia and its surrounding islands are the remaining home of marsupials. Do you see how broadly the Pacific is opening compared to the Atlantic? This is exactly why the knee-jerk Pangaea theory exists. The Pacific spread is too difficult to easily visualize because it's so big. The Atlantic spread is so obvious that a child would recognize it. But they are the same. Check this map out. The Navy and others took core samples to find the ages of the sea bottom. Lo and behold, no part of the undersea was found to be much older than 70 million years old. Does that shock you? It should. It shocked the scientists. Where did they get ancient fish fossils from? From the land, like in Mississippi and Utah and France and China. Most of the undersea wasn't there 70 or 80 million years ago. The measurements of the core samples give the age of the sea floor. Newest, 10 million or so, is red. As we go back in time, we go backward in our rainbow, orange, yellow, green, blue, okay? So we bury the new sea floor back to the fault lines as dictated by color or age. 10 million years back, these are the ages of the seafloor as measured by science, and they're generally true. Earth grew. 20 million? I'm not making this information up. This map comes from the scientific community. 30 million. You can find the same map in many places on the internet. It's common knowledge. 40. The ocean bottom is from 1 year to 180 million years old. 50. 70% of it is no older than 60 million years old. 60. The upper plate, the continents, are as old as 2 billion years old and more. 70. 10 to 20 times as old as the undersea plates. The undersea plate is new and spreading at the rifts. Why does the scientific community desperately cling to and promote the idea that the ocean bottom is sliding under the continents and into a magma which is twice as dense as solid granite? A totally unsupportable and scientifically unsound idea? They have to. Or else they'd have to observe and admit that the Earth is growing. And that, viewers, is a very big deal. That would change everything in science, from the smallest particle to the whole universe. 100 years of scientific theory out the window. An incredible misconception exists concerning India. The common belief has been that India broke away from, well, the bottom of Africa, rode up the Indian Ocean through some manner of means, and it crashed into the bottom of Asia. Its impact was so great, say the scientists, that the Himalayas were created and stacked up mountain range on mountain range to its current state, and that even now mountains are continuing to grow as India continues to drive up Asia. If there wasn't so much evidence of this happening, this would seem like a preposterous and even stupid idea. Well, it is a preposterous and even stupid idea. How can an island uproot itself from the ocean floor, seemingly float across the ocean, and crash into Asia so forcefully that it created mountain ranges over millennia and continues to build these mountains today? It shatters common sense. This is a wrong theory. The lower plates spread apart, and that must explain everything. Must. Yet the stacked up mountains are there, and still they grow. Hey, just a thought. Maybe Italy crashed into Europe like India crashed into Asia. A little smaller, but they look the same to me. Of course, I have an answer to this mystery. 2 gigantic ramjet rocket motors mounted on the base of India, fueled by the magma flow from inside the Earth. Well, no. There is a logical explanation for the growing Himalayas above a massive India, and this is it. India was once attached to Africa when the world was much smaller. It was also attached to Asia. As the Earth grew, Africa unwrapped from under the Earth and tore away from India.